Austin Riley, Cattell Marte, and now Zach Eflin have all hit the IL, and you need replacements. Don't sweat it. We got you because we've got waiver wire targets at every position coming up next.
It's about that time.
Stone on Sports.
How's it going, everybody? You are tuned in to Stoned on Sports, Fantasy Baseball, Waiver Wire Edition. We've got Kyle back. He's making his triumphant return, and we are definitely happy to see him. Kyle, welcome back, buddy. How the hell are you?
Doing great. Happy to be back. Got a little vacation in. Love it. So thank you, everyone that watches live, watches our replays too. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Everyone that interacts in the chat and in the comments afterwards, we appreciate you as well. We do love the questions. Keep them coming. We're building a community here, and you guys are all a part of it. So, all right, on to the show. Matt promised waivers at every position. A couple of these guys could probably be on your playoff rosters as well. First guy we're going to get started with is catcher Tyler Stephenson with the Cincinnati Reds, currently on 47% on Yahoo, and has really been on a tear since week 16. He's the number 3 catcher in fantasy in the month of August, slashing 288, 351, 654 slugging. He's got 15 hits in 14 games, including 5 dingers, 4 doubles, 11 driven in. During that time, his hard hit rate has been excellent at 42.1 and a barrel rate near 16%. Although, some bad, he has struck out at almost a 25% clip. That aggressiveness has its downside. I'm not really too concerned, as his season-long strikeout rate is just 19.1. And the walk rate on the season is excellent as well at 9 flat. On the season, he's a top 10 fantasy catcher with a slash line of 248, 324, 457, with an OPS of 781, which is about 75 points higher than league average. For a guy that has a bat speed in the bottom third of MLB hitters, he offers a ton in other power metrics. His average exit velocity, barrel rate, hard hit rate are all in the 71st percentile or better. And we touched on this metric before, but a quick refresher about squared up rate. Swing squared up rate tells you how much velocity did you get as a share of how much velocity was possible based on the swing speed and the speed of the pitch. If a swing attains at least 80% of that possible exit velocity, it's counted up. It's counted as a squared up swing. Stephenson's is excellent. It's at 34.5%. It places him 6th best in the majors out of 211 qualified hitters. I was shocked when I seen that. Did not realize he was that good at that. So all this explains why he's 1 home run and 1 double shy of tying his career record in both. Looking at his plate discipline, his swing and whiff rates are both in the 75th percentile or better. His overall contact numbers are above average, and he's far better at generating contact in the zone than out of it. So here's the deal. His power metrics, expected stats, all up year over year. He's improved his strikeout rate by 7% and his whiff rate by 8% year over year. And after hitting mostly 5th or 6th this season, he's been in the 3-hole the last 2 weeks, more at bats, more possible fantasy points, right? So given his hot streak and this playing time, I think he deserves to be rostered in all 1 catcher formats right now.
I'd agree with that. So we got a question here in the chat.
Sweet.
James is back in the house. He's in a head-to-head categories league with wins and losses and no quality starts. Do you have a preference at starting pitcher, Michael Wacha or Jeffrey Springs? James, that's a pretty good question. And honestly, there's not a whole lot separating either one of those pitchers. To me, Springs is going to give you a little bit more strikeout upside, but Wacha is going to give you the better chance at getting a win just because of the team context. Kansas City has been playing really well as of late. I think they've won like 5 in a row. And in Tampa Bay, they were sellers at the deadline. They're headed nowhere fast. So it really just comes down to what you're looking for. If you prefer the strikeout upside with less of a chance of getting the dub, or if the win is more important to you, then I'd go with Wacha.
Same.
Whoops. And then he also asks, if time permits, we always got time, brother, thoughts on Jackson Jobe? Short version, there's a very good reason he is the number 1 pitching prospect in the game. a little bit longer. He earlier this season at AA, he was absolutely lights out, and I don't want to say regressed, just, people don't typically dominate the entire year. Um, he's come back down to earth a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit calls him up in September just for a cup of coffee to get a taste of being up in the show. But you got to remember too, he's not pitched at AAA at all yet this year, and I do think that that would be good for him just in his development if he can get 3-4 starts there at the AAA level and see some more, we'll call it accomplished hitters. But overall, he is an absolute stud. Being a Tigers fan, I am a little bit biased, but I'm hoping that he opens the season next year in the rotation. And he's going to be awesome. Even when both he and Skeens were both prospects. I mean, Skeens was the number one pitching prospect, but the gap between the two wasn't really that big.
Yeah. I'm excited for him. More for next year, though. Moving on to first base, this Oakland Athletic has the strong side platoon there at first base, but it offers some outfield flexibility too. Matt, what does Seth Brown give fantasy managers?
Seth Brown, I'm sure there's a few of you out there who are wondering just who in the hell this guy is.
Yep.
He's definitely a deep league consideration. You're right. He's on the strong side of the platoon at first base, but Oakland faces 6 right-handed pitchers this week, and he's really played damn well this month. He missed a few games because his old lady spit out a crotch goblin, but overall this month he's hitting .333 with a .355 on base, .467 slug. That's good for an OPS of about 8.25. He's gone yard once and driven in 6, while primarily batting 6th in 9 games played coming into the week. Season long numbers, not as great. 227, 283, 379. He has gone yard 10 times, chipped in 9 doubles, driven in 29 across 276 plate appearances. He has shown 20 plus home run power in the past, though. And while, being real, he's not going to get there this season. That does show us that he's got some pop in his bat. First off, like this dude, though, he strikes out a lot, like over 30% of the time, or to put it another way, almost once per game played. That said, he's only struck out 5 times this month, which is a marked improvement for him. Keep in mind that regardless of how many times he struck out this month, there is a lot of swing and miss with him. His swinging strike rate is at 14.5%, and his 30% whiff rate is in the bottom 15% of the league. Though he's got a career 8% walk rate, he's well below that mark this season, coming in at just 6.5%. As a matter of fact, he's not cleared that 8% mark since 2022, so he's probably not the best ad if you're in an on-base percentage league. As is usually the case with players that swing and miss a lot, their contact metrics don't look great, and this guy is no exception. His contact rate is 7 points below league average at just 72.2%. And he's low, but not as bad in the zone at 85%. One thing to note, though, is he's pretty aggressive at the plate, and looking at his year-over-year jumps, it seems to be an intentional change to his approach at the plate. It's hard to say that it's really paid off in a big way, though, but he is making more contact this year than he has in years past. The quality of that contact is kind of meh. He's got an 88.4 exit velocity and 37% hard hit rate. Those are both in the bottom third of the league. He's also got a barrel rate over 9%, which is pretty good, but he also ends up with a lot of weak contact. A little good, a little bad. That's why I say, it's just kind of meh. Like many of the players we've discussed this season, he's a fly ball pull hitter for the most part. There is a little bit of power the opposite way, but most of it lies from left center over to the right field line. He does hit a good amount of line drives, though, and that's helped him carry a BABIP just under 300. Likely, he's probably just an ad for this week if you need him. Maybe you can get a home run. He is getting, what the hell do you want to call it? All the right-handed pitchers this week. So just something to keep in mind. If you need him, he's there. Maybe you're somebody who's got Freddie Freeman, who's playing through a broken finger. Who knows how long that's going to last? You got to have a backup plan in place, especially as you get to this time of year. The playoffs are just around the corner.
Yes, they are.
This Diamondbacks utility man has raised his average 30 points in the last 3 weeks. How can Geraldo Perdomo help our teams on the stretch run?
Yeah, but pretty good. They've kind of had the Diamondbacks have had a revolving door there at shortstop, but I think they finally settled on a quality option in Geraldo Perdomo. Plays, mostly short in real life, but eligible at second and third as well in fantasy. A big reason we like him. You normally see Corbin Carroll there hitting leadoff, but since Ketel Marte's been having his ankle issues and missed time, Perdomo's moved into a leadoff spot 3 times in the last 7 games after spending most of the time or this season at the bottom of the order. So again, more at bats, more possible points, and where we are at in the season here, every point matters right now, especially if you're trying to get in the playoff seeding, you're trying to win a bye. Every point matters. So in August, in 16 games, Perdomo has 17 hits, 4 doubles, 1 dinger, 5 driven in, 9 runs, and 2 stolen bases. He's slashing 304, 381, 429 with an 810 OPS. On the year, he's slashing still not horrible, 278, 338. Slugging's lower at 364. And I should mention he's a switch hitter. He does have a better batting average versus lefties, but he gets on base and slugs higher amounts versus right-handed pitchers. Strikeout rate on the season is 14.8. It is excellent. Among 292 hitters with 230 plate appearances, it's the 38th best rate in the majors. However, his walk rate, is a tad below average at 7.6%. If you're looking for power with Perdomo, you've come to the wrong damn place, okay? His average exit velocity is in the bottom quarter of hitters. Hard hit rates in bottom 10%. Barrel rate's just at 4.4%. And his bat speed is a pitiful 67.1 miles an hour. So circling back to squared up rate that I covered earlier, Perdomo has the same exact squared up rate as Tyler Stephenson, that 34.5%. Tells us there's a little bit of pop there, and he's making the right contact at the right spot on the bat. So what does Perdomo offer? Elite plate discipline and elite contact skills. First, the plate discipline. Dude has a whiff rate of just 12.1%. Among hitters with 200 plate appearances, it's the 7th best rate out of 300 some hitters, and it's improved 3% over the year. I love it. Chase rate is excellent too. It's 19.8% among those same 300 hitters, 18th best in the league. And finally, his swinging strike rate, or what swinging strike rate, more like it, his is just 4.2%. That's almost 7% better than the league average. Now for the elite contact. Overall, he's just shy of 90%. That's about 13% better than the average major league hitter. In the zone, he's almost 8% better. Out of the zone, the chase contact rate, he's over 11% better. Why does this matter? You got it. He puts the ball in play. Obviously something you need, crucial, for fantasy. He's a great ad. So with that elite plate discipline, his ability to put the ball in play, could definitely be a middle infielder Band-Aid if you're desperate enough.
All right. So we got 2K with a question here. Way back up here. Better bat to add, Gavin Lux, TJ Friedel, or Jake McCarthy? That's a really good question. I'm going to go with Lux. And for me, like he's got the prospect pedigree. He was coming up. And really, it comes down to this time of year, I want to invest in the best offenses that I can, and there really aren't many better than what the Dodgers are running out there day in and day out. McCarthy is pretty, he's been pretty streaky, and Friedel just can't keep his ass on the field. And again, when we get to this time of year, if you're not available, what good to you? Or what good to me are you? So that would be my thought.
All right. 2K had a question a little bit higher up. That was the one I was referring to. Thoughts on Francis, Martin Perez, Suarez, Osvaldo, Bido, Balazzo, and Zebi. What's his last name? William
Matthews.
Yeah. Is it Zebi Matthews?
Yes.
How would you rank them?
That's a good question. I'm going to put Albert Suarez at the top. I think, what is it? He's got like over half his starts are quality starts,
Yeah.
which is just ridiculous. Bowden Francis has looked good. Martin Perez looked like absolute dog shit. When he was with Pittsburgh, he had the change of scenery. Now that he's in San Diego,
Yeah.
Zebby Matthews looked good in his first start. Then he faced San Diego and didn't do so hot. He gave up 5 runs. Only 2 were earned, but the 3 unearned runs were because of his own damn error. Osvaldo Bido, we're actually going to be talking about a little bit later on.
Yeah, lots of good stuff on him.
Balazzo has been solid, but I don't really look for that to last. Oh yeah, you asked for a rank. Good Lord. Suarez is out at the top. I'm going to put Martin Perez in the bottom. So yeah, Suarez, Bido, Zebby, Francis, Balazzo.
Excellent.
Would be my thoughts.
Yeah, I got a lot of good stuff coming up on Bido.
And we got another question. Would I rather mud wrestle Kelsey or Velveeta wrestle her? Maybe a poll. Good Lord. I mean, that's Velveeta's just so nasty.
And I love cheese, but I feel like that's cheese in all the wrong places.
Right. And that's, I don't even know if that really qualifies as cheese. If we're going to mud wrestle, I don't want to vomit while I'm doing it. So yeah. It definitely the mud.
Yeah, go with mud. One more question with 2K. We'll get going. Got Will Smith and Rushman. Should I drop either of them for Stevenson or Bart?
Absolutely not.
No.
Wouldn't even consider it.
No.
I mean, those are probably the 2 best catchers there that you can get, along with like Cal Raleigh or somebody like that.
Yeah, Contreras or something. All right. We're going to what? Second base. So this Baltimore Orioles infielder has 3 home runs in his last 9 games and figures to be the everyday third baseman there since Kobe Mayo got sent down. Matt, what is Ramon Urias' fantasy appeal?
Well, he, to me, is another deep league option. He's got eligibility at multiple positions. He's kind of a desperation play, but we're, at least in this scenario, we're betting on a player who's on a hot streak and a great offense. Over the past 10 days, he's hitting 318, 360, 591, a 951 OPS, few home runs. He's driven in 7, and he's got 7 games this week, including 5 against lefties, and he's got 6 next week at the Dodgers and at Colorado. The Dodgers, in theory, have a decent pitching staff, but, the balls fly out of Dodger Stadium in the summer, and we all know what Colorado is like. On the year, he's hitting 243, 313, 386, an OPS of 699, 7 long balls, 7 doubles, 25 home runs, 25 runs, and 233 plate appearances. And his plate discipline is solid. Strikeout rate sitting at 18 flat. And there's a good amount of swing and miss in there as well, though. His swinging strike rate is a touch high at 11.9%, and the whiff rate is a little over 27%. Neither number is terrible, but they're a little higher than what we'd like to see. It's also worth pointing out that 18% rate I mentioned just a moment ago is down 7.5 points from where he was last season. We've also seen similar improvements to his walk rate. He was just under 7% last year, which isn't bad. This year, he's up over 8%. Now, granted, that's roughly average, but again, improvement is improvement. His bat-to-ball skills aren't the greatest, but nowhere near the worst we've seen this year. His contact rate is still over 75%, but his rate in the zone is quite low at just a little over 81.5%. And he's actually been his most aggressive at swinging at pitches in the zone this season at just under a 72% rate. Quality of contact, it's below average, but it's not too bad. Exit velocity is his worst metric at 88 miles an hour. He's got a barrel rate over 7.5% and a hard hit rate at 37.3. His best metric, though, just a 3.6% weak contact rate. If you're not going to get it hard, at least don't go soft. He's a ground ball hitter, which is a shame because he certainly doesn't run very fast, so he's not going to be legging out many hit in the hole. What's really hurting him, though, is his career low 17.8% line drive rate. That's about 8 points below league average and is helping to drive a career low 272 BABIP. Again, this one is more of a gamble. He's, not going to be hitting high in the order, but it's investing in a piece of an offense that is damn good and fighting for a playoff spot. Those are the dudes that you want, because those are the ones that are going to be out there playing for something in September instead of just playing out the string and waiting to go play golf with their buddies.
I like your hit him in the hole comment.
Well, thank you. Mm-hmm. After a rough July, David Hamilton is turning things around in August. Kyle, is he worth a look?
Yeah, I mean, he was freaking fantastic asset at the beginning of the year, got hurt, kind of struggled in his return, and really was dropped in nearly 60% of the leagues he was owned, but he's back. He's the 14th shortstop in fantasy in August. He is a lefty who will sit versus left-handed pitchers. However, starting today through Thursday the 29th, that's right, 9 straight games scheduled versus right-handed pitchers. And I know he mostly bats 8th or 9th, but with him getting on base so much this month, I don't think it really matters. In 13 games this month, he's slashing .333, on base is .395, slugging .590 with 2 homers, 4 doubles, 8 driven in, 6 runs scored, and 5 stolen bases. Let's talk about the steals. He now has 31 on the season. He is tied for 4th in the majors with his teammate, Mr. Homophobe, Jarren Duran. Hamilton is one of the fastest guys in the league with a sprint speed of 29.3 feet per second, puts him in the 95th percentile. And his base running run value of 2 puts him in the top 12% in the league. That speed is a huge asset. He routinely often stretches, singles into doubles. Strikeout rate on the year, it's high. It's 25.5%. In August, though, he has cut it down to just under 21%. Walk rate on the season, below average, just under 7. But again, in August, he has improved it to almost or over 9%. So you'll love to see that. No one will confuse Hamilton with a power hitter. Average exit velocity, hard hit, barrel rates, all in the bottom 23% in the league. But his hard hit rate is pretty greatly improved from last season, up about 7%. However, there's more to his underlying power metrics. I'll talk about it again. That's squared up rate, right? It's not as good as Tyler Stephenson's or Perdomo's for that matter, but it's still amazing in the 75th percentile. And we know that through data observation that it's only possible to attain that maximum possible exit velocity when a ball hits the sweet spot of the bat. That's that area about anywhere from 4 to 8, 9 inches there from the head of the bat. Hamilton's launch angle sweet spot rate is 40%. It's the 16th best in all of the majors among hitters with 250 plate appearances. What's this mean for you? A ton of line drives. Those batted balls fall for a hit more often than ground balls or fly balls, and Hamilton's line drive rate is 29.2. It's the 9th best in the league among those same hitters. Where are these baseballs going? To right field. He is pulling the hell out of them at 42.6, a rate that's among the top 80 hitters in the majors. For a guy with a below average K rate and walk rates, his chase rate's pretty good. He's in the 80th percentile. However, his whiff rate of 24.7 is just a tad below MLB average. There's a chance your league has been sleeping recently, right? He should be available. He's 24% on Yahoo, 46 on CBS, and under 10 on ESPN. If you need a middle infielder with speed who puts the ball in play, make that move.
Very nice. The sweet spot is important.
It is. On to the outfield. This Giants outfielder can be streaky, but he's waking back up at the plate, and he's a cheap source of power and run production. Matt, give everyone the skinny on Michael Conforto.
The skinny. Listen to you going old school with that. His slump lasted a couple months. He was pretty much garbage in June and July. But like David Hamilton, he's turned things around in August. He's batting .319 with a .421 on base and a .638 slug. That's good for an OPS over 1050. He's got 8 extra base hits, including 3 home runs. He's driven in 11 and scored 9. Dude is the number 23 outfielder this month in Yahoo points leagues. On the year, obviously, not doing so good. That tends to happen when you go through a 2-month-long slump. 236, 317, 439, 13 home runs, 22 doubles, 51 RBIs. His plate discipline is okay. He's striking out at the highest rate in the full season since 2018, but at 24.2%, it's not terrible. It's, higher than average, but not garbage. His swinging strike rate isn't bad either at 10.9%. As a matter of fact, that's spot on league average. And his whiff rate, while a little bit higher than we want to see, isn't awful at 26.7. I like his walk rate that's just under 10%. But what's more impressive is that even though he has a higher strikeout rate, his chase rate is just 25%. That's one of the better rates in the league. His contact metrics, not awful. And these are just some ringing endorsements, aren't they? He's making contact over 75% of the time, and he's nearly 83.5% in the zone. He's more selective than most at what he swings at, and that looks to be deliberate based on the trend I'm seeing over the past couple of years. Quality of contact, excellent. Absolutely excellent. He's got an exit velocity just under 90 miles an hour, a barrel rate over 11%, and a hard hit rate of almost 45%. That's a lot of hard hit balls. He's not one for hitting the sweet spot all that often, and he does a solid job of squaring up. He also does a good job of limiting the weak contact, which we really like. And guess what? He's a fly ball pull hitter, but he can hit it with authority to all fields. His line drive rate is quite low, but he's making do. He's somebody else that's in a strong side platoon role, but the Giants face just one lefty between now and next Friday. So if you're looking for some cheap power, or if you've got an outfield spot to fill, take a look at old Michael Conforto. He can help you out.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to head to the mound. From out of nowhere, Osvaldo Bido has been a top 20 pitcher this month. How has he been getting it done?
Whew. I'll get to it in just a minute. That's for you, 2K. 18 starting pitcher since August 4th. He's really carved out a nice role for himself there in Oakland, entering the rotation in late July there, pitching quite well since becoming a starter. Since the 4th, he's had 3 starts, all 3 of them quality starts. He's went 2-1 with a 1 flat ERA and a sub-1 whip, while striking out 17, but walking 6. On the season, he's appeared in 12 games, started 6. He's pitched just 45 innings this year with an ERA of 3.40. That ERA is definitely bloated by a 7-run shelling he had in late July. If you take that out, he's at 2.19 on the season. His strikeout rate on the year is above average at 24.1, and worth mentioning, he had over 27% strikeout rate in his career in the minors. Walk rate, you're going to hate it. It's 11.2%. That is not good. Bido works with a 5-pitch arsenal consisting of a fastball, slider, cutter, change, and sinker, but he's relied heavily on just 3 pitches at a starter, that 4-seamer, slider, and the changeup. Let's talk about that fastball. Comes in at above average 94.8 miles an hour and has managed to average above 95 miles an hour with his fastball in 3 of his last 4 starts. Hitters have struggled against it. Batting average just 214, slugging just 286, and WOBA's at 317. Looking at the expected stats versus with his fastball shows that it should have performed even better than it did. Batting average is 178, or expecting batting average, I should say. Expected sluggings 2 points or 20 points lower than normal at 267, and his xWOB was under 300 against it. So how does Bido do it, Matt asked? How is he surviving as a major league pitcher? It's soft contact, baby. Dude has been soft contact king this year. Average exit velocity is 85.2 miles an hour, 98th percentile. Barrel rate, just 2.6%, 98th percentile. Hard hit rate, 26.3, 100th percentile. Just some amazing, amazing stuff. Ground ball rate is putrid. It's at 31.6. However, it's a great thing to induce weak contact for a pitcher who has heavy fly ball tendencies like Bido. Fly ball rate, it's 27.2. It's about 3.5% higher than the league average, but it hasn't really cost him. Even with a high-ass launch angle of 21 degrees, he has a home run per 9 of just 0.40. He's allowed just 2 home runs this year in 45 innings. That's damn good. This got me curious. I checked his pop-up percentage. Sometimes people will call it infield fly ball rate. Holy crap, it's at 16.7%. It's almost 10% higher than the MLB average. And since his fastball has been so dominant, I looked at what the infield fly ball rate was with his fastball. I was floored. You ready for this, Matt? 40%. 4 out of 10 times he tosses his fastball, he's getting one of the easiest outs in baseball. This
You're
is how you
shitting me.
eat. This is how you eat innings. It's huge, huge, huge for fantasy. I picked him up. He's got Tampa Bay at home this Thursday. The big test comes next week against the Reds at the very hitter-friendly Great American Ballpark. But starting the week after, the week of September 2nd, that's the first week of playoffs for some of you, depending on your leagues. It's a 2-start week for him. His projected starts are at home versus Seattle. Love it. And at home versus Detroit. Love it. And then on the road the following week versus the lowly, shitty, crappy White Sox. I think he could be a sneaky contributor for you guys in the playoffs. At least maybe try and pick him up. Maybe you can pick him up now early for that start on the 2nd. That's what I did because I'm thinking 2 weeks ahead, always, usually. So I was very shocked when I researched this guy, got a lot to offer. The only thing that sucks with, about him long term right now is the team context, but good option. All right, a reliever. He's on the Orioles now. Just got traded from the Phillies. He's taken over from Craig Kimbrell as the new closer this month. Matt, is Seranthony Dominguez a must grab right now?
Well, if you're looking for saves, he absolutely is. He did give up a walk-off home run yesterday, but that's really been his first bump in the road since taking over the closer role. And he is allowed a run in back-to-back appearances. So just keep it in mind. And when I take a look at his season-long numbers, they don't exactly scream closer to me, but here we are. He's 3-3 with 4 saves, a 4.25 ERA, 4.45 FIP, a 3.92 xFIP. He's got a whip of 1.14. He's struck out 54, walked 15, given up 9 home runs in 46 2/3 innings pitched. And look, the biggest issue for me with him is the home runs. He's giving up 1 per 7 per 9, or 1.7 per 9 innings. That's roughly 1 every 5 innings. Getting dong dropped on you at that rate makes it really hard to be successful. But the strikeouts, they're legit. He's striking out over 27% of batters and almost 10 per 9. 11.8% swinging strike rate is good, but it's also down from years past. And his 26.3% whiff rate, while better than average, is following that same trend. If there was a concerning aspect, it would be his chase rate. It's down to just 24.8, and it wasn't that long ago that he was one of the elite pitchers in the game in that regard. His walk rate is fine, I guess. That's sitting at 7.6%. He's walking just under 3 per 9. And I think part of that is self-induced by him not getting ahead early in the count. I'd feel much more comfortable with those ratios if he were a starter, because walks and home runs are kryptonite for closers. You don't want to beat yourself. As is common with higher strikeout pitchers, contact rates are relatively low. Overall, he's allowing contact under 75% of the time, and he's under 84% in the zone. Both marks are better than the league average and pretty solid overall. Quality of contact is pretty damn good for the most part. He's got an EV of just 86.5 miles an hour. That's in the top 10% of the league. His hard hit rate is at 32.5%, and that's the same story there as well. He induces a really good amount of weak contact too. Barrel rate, pretty shitty at 11.9%, but that's a direct result of him having a career high 17.8 degree launch angle. Dude is a pretty extreme fly ball pitcher that gets pulled quite a bit, and as we all know, that leads to home runs. His ground ball rate is under 36%, and his line drive rate is under 21%. He's getting a lot of pop-ups as well, almost 13% of the time, and we'll take easy outs however we can get them. He should get plenty of save chances given the team context, but just bear in mind there could be a good bit of volatility with him because of the home runs and to a lesser degree the walks, and understand that both his walk rate and his per 9 are both lower than league average. But again, one walk in the 9th inning is bad. You don't want your closers walking anybody, but if you are desperate for saves and somebody who can get you some strikeouts as well, he's a damn good option for you.
Heck yeah. We're just in the chat here about some stuff. Got Kelsey was asking about when we're doing fantasy football. So we'll do those Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. And Sundays for Tinker Time as well. My favorite show. Gotta love it.
That'll be early for you, though, because she's out there on the West Coast.
So yeah, that'll be like 8:30 in the morning for her. Yeah.
Yeah, but for a couple weeks there in September, we're going to be doing 2 shows. We'll have a baseball show and a football show on Tuesday, and then we're doing the same thing on Thursdays. So that's right. You guys can get, maybe a couple hours of us.
Yeah, double duty. Holy cow.
Get them goddamn standings up, because I'm in playoff contention now.
All right. Hold on.
It's been a long road. It's been an arduous journey, but I persevered, and look at that. 6th place.
Yep. You're up into 6th after being in 9th, just a month ago.
Right.
So
I'm a man on a mission.
I'm right behind you, hoping I can do some damage, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. We got 3 definite Supersonic, Scions, and Brandons are in the playoffs. Just 3 more spots to go. We'll see who makes it. Congrats to everyone who has so far. I think there's what do we got? $50 gift card for the winner and some swag or something.
Yeah, that reminds me, I got to get some more damn merch ordered.
You got to get some merch ordered, buddy. You better get on that.
So we got another question from 2K. Don't mean to cut you off, but I don't care. In a head-to-head points league, would it be advisable to drop a closer for an SPRP in the playoffs?
I do it in the regular season, so I can't see why it wouldn't work in the playoffs, but given the right matchup.
Yeah, I think I would do it too.
Especially if they have 2 starts.
Yeah. I mean, if you can find a 2-start pitcher that is eligible at reliever, I'm definitely going to run them out there over pretty much any closer, just because getting the save is so situation specific, right? Or, if they run the closer out there in a non-save situation, awesome. Yeah, I'll take a strikeout or 2, but what is that giving me? Just a few points, right? And the big thing in points leagues, you want the innings. Whatever you have to do to get the innings pitched, that's what you have to do. Yep. So,
if you need any extra advice on that, Loud Boy has a lot of knowledge on it.
Yes. Yes, he does.
We got James up from 5 minutes ago about where's a good reference source to evaluate performance ranking of players, say, over the last 30 to 60 days rather than popular namesake. Are we talking about Draft Buddy, or what do you think?
Yeah, so James, if I were you, actually, here you go. I'll just pop this in the chat for you. So this is a site that I have bookmarked, and when we talk about it, player X is the number 21 outfielder over the last amount of time. This is where I'm getting the information from. You can change the site if you want to look for DraftKings, or if you want to look for CBS or for Yahoo, you can do that there. And
I use it quite a bit myself.
Yeah.
Yep. It's nice to see. You can see where they are in the year, or the last month, or the last week, or just a weekend, just to see. Sometimes for DraftKings, I'll just put in and see who's been hot the last 6-7 games and build lineups like that as well for daily fantasy. So.
Yeah, and it's a tool we use specifically for this episode, because when you're talking about a waiver target, give me somebody who's doing well, right?
Yep.
You want to get on board at the beginning of the hot streak, not as the hot streak is winding down.
Yep, and it just depends on kind of how it goes and how it falls if you're in weekly leagues as well. Angelo said Eflin went on the IL, drop or hold. You're not dropping him. You're just going to burn a roster spot for him.
Yeah. So it's shoulder inflammation, if I remember right. And if I'm guessing, that's probably going to be more than the 15 days, because they're going to want to make sure that everything is cleared up. They're going to be cautious. And Baltimore is now looking to the playoffs, right? And so if that means, hey, we're going to set them down for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, if that's what it takes, that's what they're going to do. If you have the roster spot, hang on to them. But I'm also, at this time of year, chances are there's not a whole lot of pitching talent available on the wire either. So we'll see. Also, Kelsey said she's getting an SOS tat. I'm going to need some proof of that.
Sweet. All right. I'll send you the logo in a PDF or something. Anyway, all right, we're gonna get out of here. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Fantasy football's coming up again on the when are we doing it?
This
Sunday, right? Yep.
Yeah,
This
wide
Sunday.
receiver preview.
Oh, it's going to be a good one too. Talking a lot of wide receivers on the football's YouTube channel, so make sure you check that out. Info is all available down in the description. We're going to get the hell out of here. Have a great night, everyone. Stay stoned.
See you, folks. Appreciate it.